Good morning, everyone, and welcome to those watching from around the world online on YouTube. My name is Cam Beckham, and I am coming to you to speak to you today about gifts. I've been a member here at Lexington United Methodist Church for a little over 20 years, and I want to talk specifically about one gift in general that has guided me throughout my lifetime. We all have gifts. Maybe you have a gift of organizing a meal. Maybe you have a gift of leading a Sunday school class or a gift of teaching Vacation Bible School. We all have gifts, and we all need to use them here at LUMC. Matter of fact, 1 Peter 4:10 says, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Now, personally, when I think of gifts in the church, I think of tithing. I realize that a lot of people don't like to talk about tithing. I've even witnessed pastors that don't like to talk about tithing and money from the pulpit. In fact, studies show that fewer than 25% of congregations give to the church, and on average, less than 2.5% of a person's income is given to the church. Now, I grew up in the Nazarene church, and some say that we were cousins to the Methodist. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we literally talked about tithing twice on Sundays and on Wednesday evenings. Tithing 10% was the expectation in our church. The importance of the tithing 10% was taught to me at a very young age. If I had to cut the grass and my dad gave me $10, I had to put $1 in the tithing envelope on Sunday morning. It was expected to tithe 10% of what you made. Tithing stuck with me from that young age, and as I think back, I can really recall 4 distinct times in my life that solidified my stance on tithing. First, as a young adult entering the workforce, I simply could not afford to give 10%. I struggled with this and ultimately had a conversation with my brother-in-law, who at the time happened to be in seminary school. So we started talking about tithing and the importance of 10%. And I asked him the question. I said, look, is 10% should you give 10% based on your gross income or based on your net income? And we talked about it a little bit more, and we both agreed that God would be overwhelmed if everyone would tithe 10% even of their net income. Second point in my life that tithing really carried me was shortly after Edie and I had been married, we made the decision to move from Montgomery, Alabama to Oxford, Alabama. We knew no one there. One of the first people that we met was the person that leased our office suite for the company that I worked for. And his office just happened to be right next to ours. And I was in his office one day and we were talking, and I noticed he had some Christian plaques and some Christian sayings on his wall, and we started talking about the church. The conversation of tithing came about. And I was telling him that, look, we had just moved here. We had just purchased a home. Edie hadn't gotten the job yet. She was still waiting for a job to come in. And I just really couldn't afford to pay tithe. Well, he stopped me and he looked me in the eye and he said, Cam, you cannot afford not to. And that really stuck with me going forward in my life. Those words, you can't afford not to, have continued to be in mind whenever I think of giving tithes, and even in times of pandemics and crisis, you can't afford not to tithe. The third time tithing really hit home with me was during a conversation I had with my father-in-law. We were sitting around cooking dinner one night, and he was telling me the story about Edie and him and Edie's mom never tithed. They never tithed. And they were short on their bills. They had to dip into their savings, and he was cutting out magazine subscriptions, so he was doing a lot of cost-cutting measures, but he didn't tithe. Well, he attended a Bible study, and one of the topics was tithing, and he made a decision at that point. He came home and told his wife that they were going to start tithing. From that point on, as soon as they started tithing, they started being able to pay their bills. They didn't make any more income, but their money went further. So not only did he stop dipping into savings, he was able to pay all of his bills, and he ultimately came to a point to where he could start giving extra to local church and community mission projects. And the fourth and last memory that I recall was when